Gigi Blankies, since 2011, presents on Blog Talk Radio Musings with Steve and Teresa. Gigi Blankies are baby blankets and toddler blankets for many and all. Call 740-727-1684 and talk with Teresa about the many different designs that she has available. Now on to the show.
Okay, we're on the pre-recording of our Blog Talk Radio today on Tuesday, May the 15th. Incidentally, Terry, did you realize that this was the anniversary of Mickey Mouse's first cartoon in 1929?
Mickey Mouse, yeah!
Yay, Mickey Mouse! I had some other tidbits, but I've forgotten them.
Yeah.
So we are going to get ready here and talk with some funny stories, and a couple of those stories you got are dynamite. And some information that kind of sprung up as I wandered through my preparations.
That happened.
Shows we got 10 seconds.
4,
5,
3, 2, 1. Blog Talk Radio.
there we go.
Hello everyone, welcome to Blog Talk Radio. Our show is captured and linked to YouTube. The programs are listed in the archives of both Blog Talk Radio and your YouTube video. You can watch as well as listen. We refer to our musings, or our efforts, as Musings with Steve and Teresa, and the shows are archived as such. A phone number and will be presented later in the program, so have paper and pen ready. We'll welcome your opinion during our discussions. I'm Steve, the co-host.
I'm Teresa, the other co-host.
We're here to enlighten, entertain, and inform about issues that we think are important. We want people to think about how positive actions make positive people. Terry, you got a great blankie there today.
Yes, I just call this crayons. I don't know how good you can see, but there's like, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 crayons all stacked together and making a check pattern with the black background. And I put it black on the back of this one too, and encased it with the red satin, and I think it made the whole thing just pop. I think it's a very dramatic blankie.
I think so too.
I think it would go good for either gender. You know.
Yeah. Well, tell about the telephone number there, Terry.
I can't hear you. Anyone wanting to join in our discussion can call us at 347-308-8409. You'll be next in line. Again, that number is 347-308-8409. Come on, give us a call. We'd love to hear from you.
Okay, last week I presented data from the Columbus Dispatch series called Credit Scars. The Dispatch is publishing their investigations of the damage resulting from uncorrected information accumulated and distributed by the giants of the credit collection industry. The problem stems from the absence of the ethics of accuracy, if you will, Terry. There's no money to be made for agencies if they verify, modify, or correct the information they provide to seekers of credit data. Now, those are the bank, the businesses, employers, police, and government departments who ask the credit agencies to provide credit checks for the express purpose of deciding how to treat the subject individuals in lending, employing, and promoting. The agencies have no, and I mean no, reason to make sure the information is correct or even correctable. They maintain that they're providing a collecting and reporting service using the information provided by the businesses themselves. No reason to change anything. Now, the Dispatch is doing a 4-part expose. The second part was a collection of tales of woe, the stories of the unfortunates and their misfortunes due to error information. Now, I hope the concern of the reading public will create enough pressure on the politicians to provide a correction to this corporate indifference. The problems will not be solved unless the organizations at fault see that they will have to pay money as a result of their inaccuracies. They must pay money to the injured, fines to the government for having to censure them, and finally spend money to make the corrections after the other fines and penalties are paid. Such cost can be estimated, applied against future profits. The price of service can be adjusted to recover the additional cost of their service. This is no different than we're asking the coal companies to do with mountaintop coal mining, is put it back as good or better than when you got it, and you make it a part of the operation itself. Now, as I advised last week, don't hold your breath waiting for something to happen. We've been talking of changing times, and the turn of the 19th century, the year 1800, vast changes occurred in the middle of America. The Louisiana Purchase in 1803 officially opened the country to expansion. That expansion had been ongoing and was the reason that Jefferson made the treaty in the first place. To give an example of our own, the Northwest Territory was opened in 1803 and Ohio was formed as a state. No Caucasian was supposed to be in the territory except our grandparents in 1797 were already in Piketon, Ohio, and up the road. I think it's time to make a little funny there.
Yeah, let's see.
You got an ancient story?
Well, told by ancient people, yeah. Well, I got one here that I think I came across that is very good. Okay, it's about Mahatma Gandhi. As you know, he walked barefoot most of the time, which produced an impressive set of calluses on his feet. He also ate very little, which made him rather frail, and with his odd diet, he suffered from bad breath. This made him, forgive me Mary Poppins, a supercalloused, a fragile mystic, hexed by halitosis. I couldn't resist that one, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Oh my. Well, our subject today came from my birthday party last week, and my cousin had mentioned that he had tape recorded our grandmother Clark in it turns out May of 1981. Okay. And in there she and my Uncle Lawson are reminiscing about times and things. One of the things that she mentioned was that they had a spring that with a rope going down to the spring from the kitchen, and you turned the crank and the bucket brought the water from the spring up and dumped it in the sink.
That's neat.
And she says, and Grandpa Lawson had put a couple of sunfish in the spring to eat the bugs.
Okay.
Which I had never heard before. And she says if you happen to scoop up a sunfish, then you had to put the little sunfish back in the bucket and put him back in the spring. Uncle Lawson came up with a story about going down to the Ohio River. And he said there was now that would be in the early 1900s. Uncle Lawson was born, I think, in 1902 or 1903, so that would make him 1912 or a little bit older.
Yeah, 47.
And the river, he said the river had a dike in the middle of it. Okay. And it was kind of horseshoey, and there was a lagoon back where the boats didn't go, and they would go down and fish and swim in this lagoon, and they of course they're out of their territory, so they ran into kids from the local territory, and there was they said they had knives out and sticks and clubs, and just a friendly conversation. And about that time, Uncle Lawson was a pigeon man. He raised pigeons.
Okay.
And he said they were terribly outnumbered when a group of guys come back who Uncle Usson knew as pigeon people, and he got to talking to the other guys about, I'll trade you a pigeon. And so they now outnumbered the locals, and they got the heck out of there. Well, anyway, I'm trying to find out, where did the dike come from the middle of the river? Mm-hmm. And so I began to study and research the river traffic on the Ohio River. And the answer to the dike particularly is in 1824, the Army engineers were assigned the duty to keep the channel open. And so that dike was where the Army of Engineers had gone down and scooped the dirt out of the middle of the channel and put it over to the side and made a little island, so to speak.
It was an accidental island.
Yeah, so the next time the water rose up, of course, the dike would flow on downstream, and it was a continual problem. I think it's a story time again, Terry.
Okay, I got one here about a lady that's been married 4 times.
Yeah, I like that one.
Okay, the local news station decided to interview this 80-year-old lady because she had just gotten married for the 4th time. The interview asked her questions about her life and what it felt like to be marrying again at 80, and about her new husband's occupation. Well, he's a funeral director, she answered. Interesting, the newsman said. He then asked if she wouldn't mind telling him a little bit about her first 3 husbands and what they did for a living. She paused to think about it for a minute, and then a smile came to her face, and she answered proudly, explaining that she first married a banker when she was in her early 20s, then a circus ringmaster when she was in her 40s, and a preacher in her 60s, and now in her 80s, a funeral director. Astonished, the interviewer looked at her and asked, "Why did you marry 4 men with such diverse careers?" She smiled and explained, "I married 1 for the money, 2 for the show, 3 to get ready, and 4 to go."
Oh my!
Let me have another one here about an old lady, or older lady, I should say.
Older lady, yes.
Well, this couple went to breakfast where the senior special was 2 eggs, bacon, hash browns, and toast for $2.99. "Sounds good," the wife said, "but I don't want the eggs." "Then I have to charge you $3.49, the waitress warned her. "You mean I have to pay for not taking the eggs?" the wife asked incredulously. "Yes," stated the waitress. "I'll take the special then," my wife said. "How do you want your eggs?" the waitress asked. "Raw and in the shell," the woman replied. She took the 2 eggs home and baked a cake.
We got a story when you were little. We would get in the car and go out to the Dairy Queen out at Coast Boulevard. And I found out rather rapidly that you and your sister couldn't eat a full milkshake. Everybody wanted chocolate milkshakes. And so I went up to the window and I said, "I want a half a milkshake along with the other order." And says, "We don't do half a milkshake." I said, "Well, look, make me a whole milkshake and pour out half of it. I don't want it in the back of the cup." And she did. But I charged for a whole milkshake.
Yeah, of course, charge for a whole milkshake.
Yeah. The dike thing, Grandpa Clark settled up around in Pike County, Ohio, and farmed there. And in the late 1820s, he put together a consortium of neighbors, and they built a flatboat, and he folded down with produce. They folded down the Scioto River to the Ohio and down the Ohio, and they hit some rapids down there and lost their load and had to walk back.
That's a long walk.
Yeah. Well, as a result, Grandpa settled up his bills, and he went to Missouri or Arkansas, Iowa, wherever he went. He sold the farm and went west with his family. And
I really wish that all the ancestors hadn't sold all the farms.
Yeah. Well. Anyway, the riverboat there's rapids down near Louisville, and the river traffic is only able to go over these falls, they call them, in the high water.
And Grandpa chose the wrong.
Yeah, he got there when the water was down. I looked it up, and there was in 1830, the Louisville and Portland Canal Company went into where these falls were and built alongside the river a canal and dike to let the river boats go bypass the falls.
Right.
That was after Grandpa was there.
Of course.
Yeah.
60 seconds.
We, I think
60
we,
seconds, yeah.
anyway, that is how you got to the point of being able to go from Pittsburgh to New Orleans without getting off the boat. Yet they had the portage around it. Okay, we want to. Okay, you want to read that?
All right, we presented a summary of credit reporting problems and a possible solution. We don't expect our views to be acknowledged, but we tried. We've reported on the history of the Ohio River and presented some new information, at least to us. We appreciate your attention. We welcome your comments. Please make some comments. Our mission on these Blog Talk Radio presentations is to stimulate your thinking,
10 seconds.
Plod your mind into new channels,
pump up your interest in life,
and rebuild your enthusiasm about the world around us. Whether you're pro or con, we insist that you join us as we
investigate,
evaluate, and participate. Be part of the solution, not part of the problem. We want to thank you for listening to our broadcast today. We will return with our continuing viewpoints next Tuesday at 2 p.m., May 22nd, when we will discuss our changing times with different and more personal views. I'm Steve.
I'm Teresa.
Thank you for listening. Think positive.
Be positive.
Live positive.
Enjoy.
A goodbye.
See ya.
This show was brought to you by Gigi Blankies since 2011. Musings with Steve and Teresa are a Blog Talk weekly feature talking about different changing times and how it applies to you. For a complete selection of Gigi Blankies, please call Teresa at 740-727-1684. Thank you for listening.